Marianne. Welcome back. Today we are covering POTS, which is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. This is something that I have personally. We're going to go through like basic things that I have, things that I experience. So we're going to cover a couple things today. What POTS is, the symptoms of POTS, how I got diagnosed, how long it took me to get diagnosed, and additive things too. So first, what is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome? Postural, related to the position of your body. Orthostatic, related to standing upright. Tachycardia, increased heart rate. Syndrome, a group of symptoms. Now there's a couple little tidbits. It is more common in men, and more common in adolescents and young adults. It is a common chronic illness affecting an estimated 1 to 3 million Americans. And that's just Americans alone. That is not included like the rest of the world. That is literally just Americans. What are the symptoms of POTS? My symptoms in particular are what we're going to cover. I experience brain fog, shakiness, lightheadedness, fainting, increased heart rate, heat intolerance, exercise intolerance, fatigue, and sleeping problems. Now, brain fog is like if I was to set this cup down, I would completely lose it. I would be like, I know I put that somewhere, but I can't remember where I put it. And that's just an example of brain fog. Brain fog has a scale to it. You can have better days, you can have less better days. A lot of POTS is some days are better, some days are worse. Shakiness. I'm pretty stable right now, but there are times that I'm shaking from pretty much head to toe. My whole body is shivering as if it was extremely cold, and it's not. It's just my body. Lightheadedness. So this goes with fainting. I have been fainting since 7th grade. So I am 22 now, so it was probably 15, 14. So I've been experiencing lightheadedness and fainting for years. This was not a sudden onset of symptoms for me. I had been doing this for a long time. Increased heart rate was a new symptom for me. It progressively got worse. My heart rate usually sits sleeping at about 78 or laying down. When I'm awake and laying down, it's about 86, and standing, it's usually about 110, 120. And that is every time I stand up. That is not just like here or there, you know. No, it's consistently almost 110, 120 heart rate every time I stand up. Heat intolerance. Oh my gosh. So I mentioned in my previous video and All About Me, I live in the South. So it's hot all the time. It's so freaking hot. And heat intolerance is, for me, it's like constantly, like you step out into the heat and my whole body suddenly feels completely drained. I get dizzy really quickly. I can't breathe. I hate the heat anyway, but added on to POTS, it's just horrible. Exercise intolerance. I used to be a dancer. I danced all the time, a couple times a week. I was in theater. I have a degree in theater. But I can't do that. Unfortunately, we'll get into it a little bit later. I am in a wheelchair pretty much when I go out anywhere. I can do short distances, but long distances require me to be in a wheelchair. So exercise intolerance is like the inability to do exercise. I don't know how to describe that one. As for me, like, it's more like I'm just not able to complete the exercises. My heart rate gets too high. I get dizzy really quickly. I can't breathe. Fatigue. I'm exhausted all the freaking time. And that goes along with sleeping problems, because the more that I can't sleep, the more fatigue I have. So it kind of goes hand in hand there. This is not an exhaustive list. These are just the things that I experience, and that is not like something everybody experiences. These lists that I am giving you are my experiences only. So please just remember that this is my experiences. These are things that I know. I have done research. My research will be in the links below. But remember that this is my experiences. I am not a doctor. I have no doctor skills, please. The only thing I've done is research. What is the diagnostic criteria for POTS? For POTS, your heart rate has to increase or be at 30 beats per minute from laying down to standing for adults. You also have to have the absence of orthostatic hypotension to be diagnosed with POTS. And it says your OH defined as 20 over 10 mmHg drop within 3 minutes of standing. So I am not a doctor. I don't know what that means. But that's the diagnostic crit for POTS. So another question you might ask is, how did I get diagnosed? Well, I got my tilt table test, which is one of the ways you can get diagnosed with POTS. I got diagnosed by a tilt table test in like the Triangle of North Carolina. My tilt table test was a 45-minute test. They did 10 minutes laying down, and then the rest of the time was supposed to be at the angle, which is more like this and not necessarily straight up and down. I lasted 7 minutes before completely fainting. My heart rate dropped and my blood pressure dropped, leading me to be diagnosed with vasovagal syncope instead of POTS at first. It's weird. POTS is not hard to be diagnosed with, but most people, it gets passed off as anxiety consistently. There's people that goes years, like 8 years before getting diagnosed with POTS, because the doctors will pass it off as anxiety. And I don't see it as a fault on the doctors. I think it's a little more that they just don't listen to what we have to say, because there's a thing you know about your body. Like, you can tell the difference between anxiety and something is wrong. You can tell that difference, and most people don't like to think you can. I at least definitely can. How long did it take me to get diagnosed? It took me about 8 months to be diagnosed from onset of major symptoms to diagnosis. But this can vary from person to person. Like I mentioned before, it's often played off as anxiety. So it can be years before a person can be diagnosed with POTS. And that is frustrating. Like I mentioned, you can always feel that something's slightly off with your body. Like, you know it's not supposed to happen. It's frustrating. So what do you do about POTS? Is there a treatment? Yes, there is a treatment. There is no cure. POTS, you can go into remission, but it doesn't go away. You can grow out of it if you're young, but usually if you're older, you tend to stay with POTS for a while. I still think you can grow out of it, but it's the chances go down and down. So treatment. You can get meds. I'm on fludrocortisone. I'm on like 0.1 milligrams for fludrocortisone, and that's helped limit some of my fainting problems. Compression socks. I usually do medium to high strength compression socks. Usually that helps. Where I am on the spectrum, I don't like the sock toes. They kill me. Absolutely just make me sad. They did say I can cut the toes off the compression socks. So, if you are autistic and don't like socks, you can cut the toes off. Just the toes though. You need like the bottom portion. Increased salt. I am taking 3 salt tablets a day. I don't know what strength they are, but they want me to eat a lot of salt. Unfortunately, I suck at eating a lot of salt, which is good and bad. Most of the time you do not hear, you should eat more salt. That's not something you normally hear. With POTS, it is different. They want you to eat more salt because it helps get the veins to tighten in your legs and extremities so that the blood can get back up from your legs and extremities, back up to your heart the way it needs to keep you from like body freaking out. Physical activity. This is something we struggle with a lot. It's very hard to get off my butt. It's not horrible, but where I have exercise intolerance, it makes it hard to do any exercise. I can't walk long distances. Trips to Walmart are horrible. So physical exercise is highly recommended, but it is a struggle to get done, at least for me. So, what are some of the struggles that you deal with POTS? Your image. Like most chronic illnesses, you have to deal with the idea that you're not the same. And I think that's something a lot of people struggle with when they're first diagnosed, because POTS can be life-changing. It's not like a detrimental, there's a range of how strong the POTS is for you, like a mild to severe case. Me, I'm on the more severe side because of my fainting spells. But you still have to deal with the idea that you're not going to be able to do everything you did before you had the illness. Like, I can't go to Walmart, like I mentioned before. I can't go to Walmart for long periods of time. The only way I can go to Walmart is I know exactly what I'm getting, and I can literally run in, grab it, check out, and leave. Any long period of time in Walmart or long distances of any kind, I need my wheelchair. I personally deal with frustration. I get frustrated that I can't do what I used to do. Like, I love theater, but at this point, I can't be on stage. I can't. And that's frustrating, because that's something I love to do. And it's hard to accept that I can't do it right now. My body may be able to recover and get into remission, and I'll be able to do some of that again. But at this point, I can't handle dancing or being on stage. I can't stand for long periods of time. So it's frustrating. Another thing is loss of independence. You have to rely on other people. You have to rely on aids. You have to, like mobility aids, you have to rely on other things. It's not just you anymore. And it's upsetting. It's frustrating. Loss of independence is upsetting. You are going to get frustrated. You're going to be angry. Why is this happening? Why can't I do this? But you have to learn to accept that your body is not the same anymore. And you can't be mad at your body. It's not going to help you. It's not going to do any good to be angry at it. It's not going to change that you have POTS or I have POTS. It's not going to change it. So you just have to accept it. So I mentioned with struggles about mobility aids. Don't be afraid to use them. I personally have a wheelchair that I use. There's also walkers, service dogs, canes, and the handicap pass. Because I can't walk long distances, I'm interested in getting the handicap pass, or placard, whatever you call it, because it is, if I have to park far away, I'm in trouble. Like, I can't manage to get from the back of the Walmart lot all the way to Walmart, and it's hard to get my wheelchair out of the car if people are parked so close that I can't open the door, which still happens if you have the handicap pass, but it's a little easier, hopefully. So I don't say these things to scare you. When I was presented the idea that I had POTS, the first thing I did was look up, what does this mean? How am I supposed to handle this? Is this really what I have? Diagnostic criteria for POTS. Don't freak out. POTS is not life-threatening. You are going to be fine. But lifestyle changes will have to be made. And that's going to be frustrating and upsetting and confusing. So take it from a person with POTS. You're going to be okay. So this is episode 1 into looking into what this all means. This is just POTS. I'm going to go through the other illnesses or things that I have, mental or physical. I appreciate everybody tuning in today, and I hope this helps you. Please leave a like and comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. I would love to cover some more stuff for you. I will link down below where I got my research information from, so you can check it out for yourself. There are great resources out there. The ones that I used was Johns Hopkins was one of the main resources I used, but there are plenty of great resources out there for POTS and how to handle it. Definitely listen to your doctors, but don't be pushed over. Don't be pushed over. Don't let them squish you into thinking that it's just anxiety, because everything is not just anxiety, as much as they like to think so. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Bye!